We've met a few times in the past. I'd like to introduce you. This is Jim Lund. He's a senior partner of NorthRock Partners in Minneapolis. He's been working with us in our cancer survivorship care model, focusing on financial planning. Today, Jim, I'd like to ask you one question to start our conversation, and that is, people are now looking at, I'm brand new at understanding financial planning. I've never really done much before. I now have a crisis with cancer, whether I'm a caregiver or a survivor. There's things I'm going to have to make decisions on financially, and this creates a financial distress in my life. Could you talk a little bit first about the survivor and their mindset and what they should be doing? But more importantly, as we expand on this, talk about the caregiver and the family members of how they should be positioning things, because they have time to do things that perhaps the survivor doesn't.
Sure. As you asked that question, Jake, I started thinking that there really isn't a difference between the caregiver and the person and the survivor. Everybody needs to think about their financial life. Oh, by the way, in your question, you said that there's stressors that people have related to finance. Absolutely. I'm sure you've read many times and you've seen it, via experience. I know I have, that people get stressed about their finances when they don't know what they're doing, when they don't have a plan, when they don't know where they're at in relationship to their plan. That's what creates the stress. And so, typically I try to counsel folks on being proactive about their finances so that they don't come into a situation where now they've got to react to some event that's occurring in their life. But it's human nature to put off those things that you know that you should be doing, and frankly, without having a coach or a guide, or without having even any interest in wanting to tackle financial issues in your financial life, I see it all the time. That people just put it off. As human beings, we're great procrastinators, and we assume that everything will just go along its merry way, and we'll be just fine, and we'll just deal with the punches as they come about. The reality is that we really should be much more proactive about it. And if you haven't been proactive, if you're like 90% of the population and haven't been proactive about it, if it's an event that requires you to take your financial future seriously, so be it. There's really 6 areas of your financial life that I typically help people with, which is just looking at your current situation, trying to figure out ways to help you save money, make money, create a cash reserve, maintain that cash reserve. I remember reading, it could have been out of a fortune cookie, but I remember reading a while back, a happy person is an ancient Chinese saying, supposedly. A happy person is one who has, in essence, savings. In essence, what that meant to me was that somebody who has some backing, has the financial backing to be able to deal with events that occur in their life. That event could just simply be that your car breaks down or your hot water heater breaks down. Where would you take the money? Where would you get the money to be able to fund that event? It would be out of your cash reserves, hopefully. And if you don't have any cash reserves, oh my gosh, what do? You go to the credit card. Problem with the credit card is it now costs you money, and now you're stressed out that you owe this debt and you've got to pay it back over a period of time, and it just keeps snowballing on you. So they're thinking about this in advance and having the financial backing to be able to deal with an event, and whether it's cancer and whether it's a long-term scenario or event or a short-term event, to me, yes, they're different, but they're similar in the fact that we need to be thinking about what it is that's going to take that stress away. What should be the cash reserve that you have to be able to provide for whatever you need down the road. The typical number or benchmark that we use in the financial services business is 3 to 6 months of expenses, and that standard came about because it's there to help in the case of job loss. So if you needed the time to find another job, 3 to 6 months was fairly typical. I think these days it's probably longer. Maybe it's more like 12 months. So if that's, and it's a judgment call on each person's part. I may, because of my personality, may choose to have more of my money invested. I'm much more aggressive in my investment strategy, so I can feel comfortable having my money invested for the longer term, but then also having a diversified enough portfolio to be able to pull from different areas of the portfolio if I need to replenish my cash reserve. So that's the art of financial planning, in my opinion, and trying to match people's goals and personalities to their finances. I never make the assumption that what you need, Jake, or what somebody viewing this video needs is exactly what I need. In fact, I make the assumption it's just the opposite of that. Everybody is different, and so I need to spend time to understand that person's personality, their money personality, their kind of their profile, their risk tolerance, the objectives certainly that they have, for their future. And with all that included, then we can map out a plan as to what we need to do today in order to get you on track to the various goals that you've got and to relieve the stress that you may have today, or what I would expect that you may have in the future, so that you actually, again, be proactive and don't have that stress. I'm sure you've seen the statistics. Many people divorce because of stress, because of money stress. The biggest argument most couples have is around money. So let's bring the couple together to try to work through those issues. And I know for a fact from experience that when there's a health event that occurs in the family, bringing the couple together, and typically the healthy spouse is the caregiver, bringing the caregiver and in this case, the cancer patient together to talk through the money issues is super helpful. I've seen the veil go from, oh my gosh, what am I going to do, to thank you, you've really helped me get through you've answered the questions, or some of the questions that I've got. I see the plan, I see how I can improve my money health, and by improving my money health, that can help me improve my physical health. That's rewarding from my perspective, and it's again helps both sides of the equation, the patient as well as the caregiver, deal with at least one aspect of the condition or of the situation that they're in.